We are being forcibly medicated through the food supply and water supply. It's now been declassified. They are chemtrailing us and terraforming the planet, geoengineering it. God only knows what else we're not aware of. The top genetic engineers we've had on have confirmed that they are adding sterilants through the genetic makeup of the cross-species food crops we're eating. And we can't even come together as a people against the New World Order. We're just going to let these people do this to us and write textbooks about how they're doing it. They're assaulting your children. They're assaulting you. People thank me for fighting and thank me for being involved. Why are you thanking me? It's completely normal to stand up and do whatever you can to fight against a tyranny. And I've never seen a tyranny this wicked, this systematic. Let's go back to calls, and then coming up at 8 after, I'm going directly into the financial analysis, and this is important. Let's go ahead and talk to Sandy in Utah. Sandy, you're on the air.
Hi, Alex. It's good to talk to you.
It's good to talk to you.
I want you to know I really appreciate you and Charlie.
I appreciate you.
And I have gotten a lot of your movies and things, and I've given them out to people to watch. And I also just wanted to talk about a couple of things. First off, my son went into the Marines in the early 90s, and he took that arms survey. And he put on there he didn't agree with anything about the UN, and on that last question, he indicated, he said to them, hell no, I will join with the U.S. citizens. I will not take their guns away.
And for those that don't know, they gave Marines, now they give them publicly, surveys, will you fire on Americans under Northcom? Now they're getting ready for it. And your son said no. Okay, go ahead.
Shortly after that, he received a bunch of vaccinations. Shortly after that, he became ill. So they gave him a medical discharge. And I believe, of course, that they were trying to weed out all those that would stay true to...
No. We've confirmed. They give soft kill. This is confirmed. Soft kill shots to people, to the 75%. And it usually is meant to kick in about 5 years after you're out. Because as Homeland Security says, the number one threat to their New World Order, Homeland Security is here for the corporate criminal takeover. They're the criminal enforcer to take care of the gang raping of America. Their number one threat is returning vets and gun owners. And that's what they're training the Boy Scouts for, to take on the veterans, the new Hitler Youth. And, God, I'm sorry they did that to your son. You know, there's some detoxes he can do, some other things he can do.
Yeah, he's been using a lot of different herbs and things, but he's battled this thing ever since then.
What's he have, like arthritis and things?
Well, it's colitis is what it is.
A lot of times it attacks Crohn's-like type diseases, totally confirmed. It attacks the entire intestine.
Yeah, it does. But he's a brilliant kid, and he's studied the militaries of all the countries, and he knows a lot. Anyway, he's a year younger than you, Alex. And the other thing is, well, back then, too, just before he went into the Marines, they told our kids in the 8th and 11th grade that they had to have vaccines. And so we called the superintendent up and we said, okay, what are the vaccines for? What's in them? And why do they have to have them? And his reply was, well, the government told me to do it. And we said, well, don't you think you better be finding out?
Tell me more about how that ended when we come back in 70 seconds. All right, we're going to take a few more calls right now. Then at the 8 after, I'm going to spend a couple segments breaking down the financial reform legislation that Obama is pushing and how that fits into this whole world government system. And all the headlines we've been seeing about UN wants new world reserve currency to replace the dollar. Remember that headline last week? We're going to be going over all of that coming up. But Sandy, Chris, Josh, Ryan, others, we're going to get to you as well. Sandy, so They ended up getting your son later with the vaccines in the military. But in school, they said, we don't know what it is. The government just says you got to take these shots. How did that end?
The 8th and 11th graders had to get these shots because the government said so. Well, we said, well, our kids aren't getting them. So we went and got some waivers for them, and we made copies. And so they didn't get them, at the time. But I know I've never cared for vaccines for a long time. And at the age of 11 and a half when JFK was killed, I knew I wasn't getting the truth. And I was determined to find out what it was. And I did. The other thing is I was watching Glenn Beck the other day on Saturday. And they were switching back and forth. And they switched to him at one point, and it looked to me like he was in a trance. And it hit me. I thought, he has been hypnotized, and he's probably on psychotropic drugs. And I think that he joined the Mormon Church to bring them down. And I got a message for him. If he thinks he's going to bring down the patriots in America and the Mormon Church, he's got another thing coming, because he will have to face the Lord.
All right, Sandy, I appreciate your call. Yeah, no, he does act. I mean, everybody screws around and has some fun when you do a long show every day, but he constantly just acts crazy and goofy and fruity, and he's not like a George Washington. I mean, he just is really creepy. And he's bad news. Look, I care about my children's future. I'm not here bashing him because, he's a bigger talk show host than me and I don't like it. Because so many people do that to me that I almost don't like to talk bad about Beck or anybody else, because it lowers you to do that. But you've got to talk about Beck because he's just such bad news. Let's take another call here. Let's go ahead and talk to Chris in California. Chris, welcome.
Thanks. I was just calling because I completely agree with your assessment about Glenn Beck. It's because he comes off like how Stephen Colbert does his character, but he's serious about it, and he's crying and stuff, and he's bringing real facts, but he's his past, so it's
well, it's meant to discredit it. I mean, look at how he supported the banker bailout bill and then says he's fighting the New World Order. And then he said arrest Ron Paul supporters when Ron Paul had a chance to win. So, see, he shows who he is. Right when we're getting headway, he'll go, there's no FEMA camps. There's no government corruption. We need to support the Patriot Act. We need to arrest Ron Paul supporters. Ron Paul's dangerous. We need this banker bailout bill. I mean, with friends like this, who needs enemies?
Yeah, and also, it's the same thing with Barack Obama, except for he's playing a role. When he talks, to me, he reminds me of a preacher, like a black preacher or something like that. When he talks, when he gives a speech, it's more like he's preaching. That's how I get the feeling. It's kind of weird.
And he's got a great voice, and he's handsome and smart, and it's all lies. I mean, there's more troops in the Middle East now than there were a year ago.
So,
I mean, it's incredible. Anything else, sir?
No, that's about it. Thank you, though.
God bless you. Good to hear from you, Chris. All right, Chris in Maryland, Josh in California, Ryan in Indiana, and others. 1-800-259-9231 is the toll-free number to join us. And we're going to come back and break down what's really happening with the economy straight ahead on the one, the only, GCN Radio Network.